Hi, I'm Bailey. This is Bailey Talks, where I talk, you listen, and hopefully we both learn something along the way. No scripts, no filters, just unique conversations. Let's see where we end up. All right, welcome back, guys. Bailey Talks. This is episode number 5. Today we've got the great man, Rich Fogarty, in the building, BroFit legend. Welcome to Rich. 30 years of experience in the fight game. You've had many fights within all the combat different sports. You've been a great coach over the last couple of years. You've moved around the whole of Australia. You've been everywhere. Rich, thanks for coming on today, mate.
Pleasure.
Mate, let's start with your weekend, because I've been following you just this weekend alone. You've had a big golf tournament. You've opened up BroFit yesterday for your first day. How's your weekend been, mate?
Mate, pretty full on. The Pro-Am on Friday with the boys up at Charlestown, so that was pretty full on. But just in regards to the BroFit grand opening, we sort of opened the doors 6 weeks ago, but I just wanted the grand opening so the knowledge of BroFit was out there.
Mate, what a turnout too. I can't believe 150 plus people rocked up yesterday.
Yeah, it was pretty mind-blowing, and some of the guys that come in, some of my friends that have been there for sort of 20 years, rocking up from Penrith even. And
mate,
just
how good's that? And you were saying before as well, your expectations, you were thinking maybe 30 to 40 people. 150, mate. That must be rewarding for you.
It is, because, and I think the whole men's mental health is a big thing, and I think when there's a lot of men able to come to a destination all together, they're not so embarrassed because they're not just singled out as one out, so they all join in. I had like 25 stations, 3 on each station.
Oh, mate, I was watching the videos and I was seeing people outside hitting the bloody bags, swinging the axe, doing everything, mate. It was nuts in here.
It was a bit nuts, but we had everything happening.
You make it work though, don't you?
You do. You
just make it work. Mate, I figured the best thing to do to start would be, I do want to go back a little bit and touch on your story a little bit, because you've got quite the story. As I said to you before as well, you're the networking king. You know everyone, you know everything, and I think that's just a credit to you and your story. But out of all the places growing up, you've lived, you've worked, Sydney growing up, Muswellbrook, Melbourne, Tamworth, Sunshine Coast. I think even, was you in Townsville for a little bit? Was it?
No.
It was Tamworth, it must have been, yeah.
Yep.
Mate, you've been everywhere. You've done everything. What makes you love Newcastle the most?
I think the Newcastle, one, because my obviously children here now and sort of moved to Melbourne with me when I was for the last 3 years, but then they love Newcastle, so they moved back. And as much as it's, I loved Melbourne and I love the city of Melbourne, it's hustle bustle, everything's happening, sporting wise.
Crazy.
But it was just because I raised my kids from an early age myself. So I was just, and they grew up in Newcastle, so everyone who I knew in Newcastle, from business to rugby league, sporting, golf.
Yeah.
Everyone was sort of here, and even though I've been away for 3 years, it was like I got back and nothing changed. Everyone walked into the pubs and I went, oh,
you still look the same. You're still sitting in the same seat, having the same beers.
Exactly. So it's it's just when you sort of just love hanging around and love associating with genuine great people. Yeah. Newcastle has some great people here.
It does, mate. It does.
And I love the lifestyle here.
Yeah, mate, it is good. I mean, we've got access to the best golf courses around. People here are very genuine. Everything you need here, the surf culture, the pub culture.
100%.
Which you'd be very familiar with growing up, and how good Newey is for that. All the boys, the old boys, it's quite the place to live. And, mate, in terms of, your childhood growing up, I reflected and made some notes on your whole podcast yesterday. I really dived deep into your upbringing. It sounds like it was quite the upbringing. You went through some quite traumatic periods, a lot of change, chopping and changing. How do you reflect on what you've been through growing up, and what impact has that had on you, do you think, in turning you into the man that you are today?
I just think dealing with it when I had to deal with it was more confusing, and not really knowing what the outs and what the mechanisms are that sort of happen. And throughout life you get to the stage when that sort of things happen to you, and then the bullying stages, and each day you have to turn up school, or you just have fear in your eyes and in your heart. You're sort of like, it's a very negative environment all the time. So I think even to this day, like my mechanisms and my mind is like a torture chamber sometimes. Every day is a different day. I'm sort of always dealing with something new.
Yep.
And it always reflects back to whether it was my childhood, whether it was things that happened in my childhood in the pubs.
Yep.
But I sort of, these days, my children are pretty much the number one thing that really keeps me alive to this day.
Keeps you kicking.
Just keeps me really wanting to be motivated for life and more or less to give back now is, I think, what's the effect of my childhood and growing up and the fighting and everything else was more, is now I have the opportunity with the Ringside Youth Foundation to actually then go, okay, now that 10-year-old with the fear in his eyes, I know how he feels. That was me.
Do you think that plays a part in it, that you can see other people and think, I know that you're going through shit, you've got trauma, you've had things happen to you, it's okay, I understand, and I'm here to help.
I think that's the biggest thing that's a plus for me, because I wasn't obviously a very educated person at school, because I was going through so many dramas and adversity with life, but now it's at a stage where I'm 51. I've got 2 beautiful kids. I've got the opportunity with me Ringside Youth Foundation. Then BroFit sort of presented itself, and I thought, well, how good's this? Not only can I help the older guys who are gone through their life and they're still at their point of midlife crisis or at the older end of their life, they still need a bit of mental health.
Oh, they do.
And fitness. But then we can contribute back down to the youth who I have with coming in for the Ringside Youth Foundation program.
So good.
So it's just like this evolving circle of generations.
Well, it's good that you have given people access in all the different age groups, because like you said, I like how you said men as you get older. I think a lot of men, as you probably agree with, they put on this mask where now that you become a man or a dad, or that you can't have any problems, or you can't struggle, you can't be vulnerable. And I mean, the truth is, it probably only gets harder, really.
It does.
What you've been able to create, not only with BroFit, but even just with the conversation you have with your mates, it's giving people the chance to have those conversations and know, and just be okay with being vulnerable and being okay with saying, I'm not doing well, or I'm struggling, or I'm confused, or what's your opinion on like this mental health stigma with men, that men can't talk, and we as men, you know, we have to handle things ourselves. We can't be vulnerable. We can't have mental health issues. Why do you think that's such an issue in society today?
I think because we get into a position where everyone wants men to be strong. They, you know, whether it's women, whether it's friends or whatever, they want us to be strong. They want us to be, you know, the security of the family.
Providing,
whatever else.
Protecting.
And then it gets to the stage when we go, hang on a second, enough's enough. I need
help as well.
I need some help.
I need some protecting, yeah.
We have a cry, or we go to a mate and go, man, I'm struggling. I'm really feeling like I need to cry.
Yep.
Wake up to yourself, mate. Pull your head in.
Yeah, you don't need to cry.
Get going, you know. Yeah. Then it's all of a sudden, hang on, we're a double-edged sword here. Do you want me to be strong?
Or do you want me to be too vulnerable?
Yeah, too vulnerable. So they're trying to... Us men are trying to find that space where balance. Where we step into a place, and that's why obviously BroFit has been created. And Penrith alone on a Sunday morning gets 70 to 80 men down there for a session on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, wow.
And that's Penrith in the Western Sydney area.
Yeah.
So for them men to own their own,
and you would argue some of the toughest, most brutal men in Australia.
You got some, James Tahuna, Tama Tahuna,
yep.
Tai Tuivasa.
Yep.
All those guys rock up.
Yep.
To BroFit Penrith and just get a session in.
And I think if you're a person who's going or attending or sees that, to see some of those blokes who boxing champions, rugby league champions, people who wear their heart in their sleeve, tough, courageous, and they're people who are coming in and saying, boys, if you're struggling, come, let's talk about it. Let's join together and let's make a difference. And that's got to be encouraging for some of the other people who are attending, and even just seeing that online.
Exactly. But that's the whole thing where it's always the hardest for men to actually take that first step. And when we say let's go into a men's group, and people. Even though men want to go into a men's group and talk about their problems, that they just have there's no tools sometimes to go, I'm going to feel embarrassed, or someone's going to judge me. Where because of my combat background, this is the prime example where they don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
They just come and go, I want to join in.
Exactly.
They start joining in, and then all of a sudden, I've met Rich, or I've met, someone else, and then I felt comfortable. Then
they'll talk.
Then the doors are open. Then they start feeling.
You're right.
They've been just sweating with each other, punching pads with each other.
Yeah.
That gives them the avenue to go, now I can have a chat. Hey, Rich, I love what you're doing here and what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
There's their avenue to
so
talk.
You don't even have to ask them.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
And you're exactly right. I think it's like you're not sitting them down as soon as they walk in and saying, all right, what are your problems right now? Tell me.
Have a cry. Tell me what
exactly.
your problem
As
is,
a man, you don't want to do that,
No.
and for them to be more comfortable and come in, like you said, sweat together, be pushed, and then it's like, I fucking really needed that,
100%,
that was unreal.
And that's what the men need. But it's always trying to find those tools to help them get in here, and that's whether it's in here or another men's group in fitness or whatever. But that's the tool that works for me. And as I said, with some of the people that I've hung out with throughout the world, that's my talking point, especially to the older guys, because everyone knows the Arleys and the Tysons who I've had the privilege of just hanging out with.
Yeah,
that's a conversation starter for me.
Big time.
So then once I've hooked them in, then we have a chat, then we get into what's going on, the nitty-gritty
what's
of their
happening.
life, and then I'll smash them in the fitness area.
Yeah. Hey, a good segue to that. I was doing some research with you, and obviously you've got such a broad background in combat sports, and it sounded to me like it all started in Tamworth for you when you got into a bit of karate when you were a young kid. Can you tell me about those first couple of years? I know a lot of what you've said in the past is you didn't really love the sport itself or fighting. You just needed something, and I think you were using words like you wanted to just try and find a way to be masculine, or at least in your mind you were trying to find a way to be that tough, courageous, masculine male. What were the first few years for you like when you found that avenue into combat sports, and how was that for you?
Well, something where martial arts back in the day, because I'd just come out of the whole still being at school, red hair and freckles, so I wasn't the most popular lad in school. So, getting your ass flogged in the toilets and, head flushed down the toilet back in the day. They still head flushed back in the day. But it was just more, once I got into a bit of a atmosphere, martial arts, it was all about discipline, about the martial arts spirit. But then I had coaches and friends that I was doing it with. And then I started to find I loved it, and I started to be good at it. And that's when I thought to myself, I can actually get into a boxing ring or on the karate mats and really fight someone and put a face on someone and really hurt them and legally and get away with it. But in years gone, over the years, past my martial arts journey and my life journey, that's when I sort of went, you know what, I wasn't actually out there to hurt that person. I was more to show my friends and everything that I was hiding about my masculinity that I felt got taken away as a kid.
Why do you think we as men, I feel like we're almost constantly trying to find that, especially growing up as a young man, you look at people like your dad or your dad's friends or these figures that are, men, masculine men. Why do you think we as males, when we're growing up, we want to try and find that masculine, that toughness?
Well, I think because from generation to generation, we've been taught to be strong. You've got to show how tough you are and stop your whinging and get on with it. And, there is times for that. Yeah. But sometimes we are just as soft-hearted as what the women are. Yep. And we need a bit of loving and caring as well.
Maybe softer in some occasions. My missus will vouch for that. She will say I'm a fucking softie, no doubt. So,
but that's we're looking for acceptance. We're looking for someone to be there so we can have a talk to. Yeah. Because there's half the time there's no one there because we don't want to talk about things because they're going to judge me. They're going to think I'm a pussy, or then we just don't open up. So then it all accumulates, and we're not like the girls. We don't go out on brunches. Wouldn't believe how I was feeling the other day. We get to the pub or, out for lunch. Boys, what have you been up to? Golf and football the weekend.
Who's winning this weekend? Night's 13 plus for sure.
But you never hear of a subject, mate, how you been? Mate, I've been struggling. This is what I've been going through. Yeah. But then it gets to the society we're in now because everyone's out for themselves. True. They don't care what you've been through or what you're going through.
People don't want to listen too.
Yeah, they got like the social media.
I don't care.
30 seconds, that's all I need to watch a video.
That's fine. That's all I need.
I can't sit there for an hour and listen to your blubber and going
on. True.
So it's a real mixture of a lot of different things that why us men just can't talk.
I think that's why as well, why we when we find good mates or friends that are close to us, and you probably know they're a true friend or a good friend or someone you need when they actually will just sit there and listen.
100%.
And you know that they're just going to sit there. They're not going to pepper you. They're not going to be distracted. They're going to actually sit there and listen to what you're saying.
Exactly.
And you probably keep going back to that type of person because sometimes that's all you need is someone to listen.
People have got to realise it doesn't take much to just ask the question. And some of the members here who have joined up now, sometimes if they haven't been in for a week and a half,
hey mate,
to me, if they're paying memberships and they haven't been turned up, I
Yep.
make the call and go, what's happening?
What's
Everything
happening?
all good?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, I've just been under the pump. I can't, this, but thank you for the call. And, so you just got to touch
People
base.
appreciate that.
People need love. People have got feelings. So, and every single person, whether you see them on socials being the perfect on socials, everyone has a struggle. Everyone has a story that they're struggling with. So
100%.
It's just a matter of just being that person to go, you know what? I care about these crew. These people I want to give time to, I care about them. So I need to ask a question because I'm hoping someone comes back to me and goes, hey, Rich, how's things going? And even though my first answer is, everything's good, bro.
I'm fine, mate.
Hang on a sec. Fuck, it ain't that good.
Yeah.
This is what I'm struggling with. I'm struggling with this or that. So I've trained myself with little tools and mechanism to get over, the anxieties and how I need to talk about things. And the more I talk about my past or my life journey helps me.
Do you think it is the training, like in terms of getting past that, do you think it is like a muscle memory thing where you've got to come up with little tips, tricks, little, almost little cues that you think of when it's like, okay, this is a point where I need to look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm okay, I'm vulnerable. If I'm getting anxious, if I'm feeling depressed, if I'm whatever, do you think it is that muscle memory thing of knowing the cues and being able to have that conversation with 100%. Yourself?
It's a great start for sure. When you know something's coming on, like I know when a little bit of anxiety is coming on, or I just feel like a real dark cloud just going boom right on top of me, then I need to go, right, now I need to go and walk and get some fresh air. I need to go into the gym and just hit the bag. Even if it's not hard, I just need to move and be active.
Yeah.
And this is why I know the physical part of it is a great help for the men to open up, because once they get exhausted, then we become vulnerable because we're tired.
Yeah.
And then we'll go, yeah, mate, fuck, you wouldn't believe what happened. This is what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Because they've just done a session. They've activated those fluids that get all pumping. And that's the part.
And that's why I think you'll probably agree with this. So many people's response to those feelings, it's not get out. It's I'm going to stay in bed. I'm going to binge eat. I'm going to binge drink. I'm going to go get on the bags or whatever.
100%.
When it needs to be, like you said, it's like exercise is the first step sometimes,
Sometimes just taking a walk just to get out in the fresh air for 5 or 10 minutes and just take some big deep breaths. Because breathing these days, everyone's starting to work out. Breathing is a great technique now, a great meditation.
Wim Hof,
100%. But a lot of men's groups are going through breathing. You see the footballers, once they get a try, they
3
get back.
breaths.
It's true. When you can the more calmer you breathe and you feel that breathing going, then that's the part where we go, you know what? Now my heart rate's down and everything else is back into the swing of it.
So good. Hey, can we move on to just a bit of a rundown from your maybe teen years, early 20s to just your fighting career? What did that look like for you?
From the teens, like I had a bit of once I started the martial arts, it was more just whenever there was a fight, because I used to because I grew up in Islington at the Criterion Hotel. It's the Newey Hotel now.
Yeah, right.
Mum and Dad owned that hotel from 1977 to 1980.
Yeah, you would have seen a bit in there.
Again,
holy shit!
And
yeah. Fucking hell.
At a very early age.
What a combination.
And that's where the actual, the abuse back in the day happened in that hotel. So when I look at that hotel now, I still get a bit of the tingle where everything in that hotel.
That trauma.
Really give me and to be that young and watch the front bar when you got people walking up stabbing each other or punching, throwing people out the front door into the aisle of cars, and man, I've seen it all.
Seen some crazy shit.
Crazy. So at that time I thought, this is a normal life. Violence is normal. And then obviously things happen. Then the teens more growing up with the mates, smoking heaps of hooter, and just
ripping billies,
trying to just band-aid the thing that I was going
Yeah,
through.
ignore it almost.
And going through a lot of the confusion, you know, like having the things that happened to me, going through confusion, going at such an early age, going, you know, do I like guys, girls? What's going on with me? Why am I feeling like this?
Yeah.
You know, and I was going through a lot of struggles personally.
Yeah.
And then you get to school and you get the bullying, and then and I used to love, you know, the one time that it did happen out of many times, but they said one dude was just picking on me. He goes, out the front after school, and I was just, and because I was that scared, I was like, make sure you're there. You know? Knowing Mum was out the back picking me up. But I drove past the front of the school,
Head
man.
down the window.
Oh, bro, there was so many people waiting there.
Hanging around.
So
That was supposed to be you in there.
Yeah, I know. I was supposed to be there getting probably flogged. And that's where in my career, like fighting, I just said, I've got to stop bullying. I've got to start getting focused on protecting myself.
Yeah.
And then that's when the change happened. Martial arts took over. And then I played a little bit of rugby league, but Mum and Dad were sort of like in the hotel game a lot.
Yeah, okay.
So that's where it went from, you know, the Tamworth, the Mathaura, Kingaroy.
Yep.
We changed that, went to Sunshine Coast.
Sunny Coast for a while,
Sunny Coast was, Mum got sick of the hotel, so she said, let's go and buy a takeaway shop. We've never even done any food. So we just, that's our gypsy life, bro. We just,
wherever. Let's go buy a takeaway shop. What was it? Fish and chips?
Yeah, fish and chips.
Was it?
Oh, nah. Some of the stories in there, but
I can imagine.
It was just a matter of, you know, we're survivors, you know, like we just go from town to city and just do what we know best.
Yeah.
And
make it work.
And I've been lucky with everything. Obviously, my life story's been, but where the combat sport, not only has it been good for me personally, but some of the people I've met throughout the world.
Oh yeah,
is just amazing.
And look, I'm definitely keen to touch on that, because a big part of what I wanted to speak to you about as well was your approach to coaching and your history with coaching. Also, your Melbourne stuff you got going there, your fitness centre, your Brooklyn boxing gym. But I am also curious. Before we move to that, is your relationship with your brother.
Yep. And
growing up with your brother. I have an older brother. And I think if you're someone out there who has a brother, you probably can resonate a little bit with maybe what we're going to talk about the challenges and the interesting parts to having a brother in your life. What's it been like for you being so involved, not only within the business with your brother, but also growing up with your brother? Were you pretty tight, on and off?
Very tight. Very tight. There's not too much in our lives that get in between us.
Yep.
Even though we have our arguments, we might have a bit of a spit at each other every now and again. And we won't talk for an hour or two.
Yeah.
And then we'll text each other.
Sorry,
what's
bro.
going on? We won't even say sorry. We know
you're good.
We know we had a bit of a stiff.
Yeah.
That's
what you doing for dinner?
But our relationship, because we done and dealt with a lot of things through the hotel life together.
True.
You know, some of the probably not, you know, I wouldn't say trauma, but just some of the things that were happening in the hotel. Me and Rob were very close.
You had each other.
Yeah, we had each other's back, and everything we've done together.
Yeah.
And just being there for each other, and just some of the things that happened throughout our lives.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing was probably Mum. You know, she was the engine of the family. You know, before she passed, and she was only like 54 when she passed, but the one thing, you know, she was always adamant about is make sure you guys are loving each other. Make sure you stick together.
Yeah.
That was Mum's big sort of wish, and and it was no problem to us, because we realistically in our circle there was just me and Rob.
Yeah.
I got a lot of associate friends. I got a lot of people who, you know, associates,
acquaintances,
and all that,
colleagues. Yeah.
And probably where I've lasted for so many years, not really worrying too much, because I knew I had.
You can trust. You got one person you can trust.
Rob,
you can trust.
Rob's got me back.
Yeah.
No matter what, everything comes down to family with us.
Yeah.
And then just everything we've done, promotions, boxing, you know, martial arts, we've been involved together.
Yeah.
We've done the whole journey.
Mate, I think it's very special that your mum's her wish was to have you be so tight, because I know my mum. The happiest I see her when I go back to visit Sunny Coast, because my parents live in the Sunny Coast, or when we catch up and go on a holiday, like I know that the thing that makes her the happiest is me and Ben getting on, hanging out, or doing something, you know, like nothing will beat that for her.
No, and that's because the older we get and we see our children getting along with each other, and I've got that blessed now where my daughter and son get along just perfect. They're like best mates. So that's just, again, how I've been brought up. And then how I wanted to bring my two children up as well. So it becomes where you break a lot of cycles of different things, but that's just how I chose to up, bring my children up and how I live my life.
Yeah, mate, beautiful. Now let's talk about your businesses, because you got a bit going on. You're a busy man. You're the world's greatest networker.
As long as I'm at the golf course.
I was going to say, you play golf 3 times a week, but you're very busy. So you've got your, obviously now BroFit, which we're here today, recent startup. You've got your Ringside Youth Foundation, and you've still got your Brooklyn Boxing and Fitness Club down in Melbourne. Are they your big 3?
Yeah, pretty much.
At the moment, yeah. Let's start with your, if you don't mind, the Ringside Youth Foundation.
Yep.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Well, basically, it was just a bit of a thought in the beginning. It was just like, how can we, through boxing, how can we help young men and even young women get into a boxing and start sort of changing life? Because we know what boxing and martial arts done for ourselves, my brother and I. So I had a very good amount of people up here in Newcastle with Timmy Osborne, who's Osborne Law.
Yep.
Bentley's accountants.
Yep.
And they got behind me and pretty much started the foundation for me for free.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
Are these fellas you've just met along your journey? Or?
Along the journey, yeah.
Yep.
Timmy, I used to come in and used to do PTing with.
Yeah, right.
Do some boxing, and he was our lawyer when we were in Newcastle anyway.
Perfect.
But yeah, just genuine people who just wanted to help me out in regards to
I was going to say, you probably play golf with them.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that play golf.
Well, that's what I was going to say. How is golf as a sport for networking? You can get to know someone pretty well if you cart with them for 18 holes.
Everyone, when you look at foundations or charities and even just business networking, golf, everyone loves golf.
Oh,
so mate. Friday lunchtime or Friday morning, they take Friday off to have a charity day.
Yep.
They're all in.
Yeah.
So I do one charity each year in Melbourne.
Yep.
And then I'm beginning in 2025, I'll do the Ringside Charity Golf Day up here as well.
Exciting. Charlestown Golf Club, hopefully. Fingers crossed that
should
works
be all right,
out.
because Ryan Smith, the pro up there, he's
a good man.
Great.
And he's a lefty like me, mate.
Yeah,
Are you a lefty?
No, I'm a righty.
He's a righty. I'm a lefty. Ryan's a lefty. Ryan's a gun.
Yeah.
Mate, tell me about what you've learned about youth mentoring, because I think mentoring in general is tough, but I think particularly for youth, for kids, it's a whole different level or challenge because their brain works very differently. There's so many challenges working with kids. What have you learned about yourself with the youth mentoring?
At first I thought, oh, look, I'm out here, I've started a foundation, and with foundation charity, I just basically paid attention to the big corporate ones. So make sure the logo's properly done, the bank account's there, but nothing was really happening. So then the website come along, but learning how to do that business side of the foundation was the challenging part, but I enjoyed it.
Yep.
But the mentoring part, because I'd done combat sport and I knew what worked for me, and I knew the kids and the teenagers that come across, and they've only got to Google me or look at my socials and they see who I actually associate with or hang out with.
Yep.
That's usually the talking point. Oh my God, Ty
Seeing you with him,
or Mark Hunt or what. Then they're the talking points.
Yeah.
And they're not a big deal to me, but they're talking points where then I've hooked them in.
Perfect.
Once I've hooked them in, then you get the respect of going, oh, well, this dude's trained so-and-so and so-and-so. I'm going to pay attention to him.
Yeah.
And then I go through the whole, this is what we're doing. This is what I want you to be doing in your routine of training.
Yeah.
But along that journey, and it's been 15 years with mentoring young teenage men as well, but more, the parents, learning, not just what the teenager's dealing with or the youth. Yeah. You got to go to the parents and see what's going on at home to then figure out what we can do here. Because a lot of people just look at that kid and go, oh, what a bastard of a kid. Oh, mate, he's a pain in the ass. Then he goes home and deals with what he's got to deal with at home.
How do you draw the line there? Because that's a tough one, because you can't get too involved, but you're also, as a bloke like who I know you would be like, you still would want to do what's best for the kid. So how do you manage that awkward sort of?
Well, it's not really awkward to me because I'm just pretty raw. So and that's how my methods work.
Say it how it is.
I just go, hey, look, let's sit down.
Yep.
This is what your son's been talking about.
Yep.
And I feel something else is happening here.
Yep.
And by the time you ask the parents, obviously sometimes sitting down with them, they'll beat around the bush and I'll make out that everything's fine.
Yep.
But then I'll mention certain things and that will trigger, okay, that's what happened. Oh, well, he shouldn't be saying that. That's nothing to do with...
Yeah, that's what I mean.
This is where we lead to. This is why we're going in the places we're going to.
Yeah.
But again, it's also the ones who want to be helped are the ones you've got to help.
True.
Because there's a lot
that don't want to be helped.
They don't want to be helped. Even though, and I sort of found that out at an early stage in mentoring is when you want to save the world.
True.
You want to save all the kids, no
True.
matter what.
Anything, I'm going to fix
them
everyone.
Money, give them toys, give them anything to make them happy.
Yeah.
But if they don't want to be helped,
you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
There'll be someone else who crosses their path that will help them.
Yeah.
If they don't, when they hit rock bottom, they will know what help they will need.
Yeah.
But going through the ones who go, you know what, I haven't got money, Rich, or the parents, oh, look, Rich, little Johnny wants to come into boxing or fitness. We haven't got much money. I've just lost my job. Then I'll go, no worries. I'll see the fear in little Johnny's eyes that he can't do anything.
Yeah.
So Ringside Youth Foundation will go out there and may help mum with electricity bill or pay a little bit of food for that week, or if little Johnny needs to go on an excursion because he never goes on an excursion, can't afford it.
Yeah.
That's where I step in.
Yeah.
So it really has nothing to do with getting him in to learn boxing.
Yeah.
Boxing's just the tool that I have so I can connect with these kids and these young men, and be sort of more of a role model
and support
for
them and help them when they can.
And when they're going, mate, I love this, I want to thank you for letting me come into here, then you know they want to be helped.
Yeah.
Then you go to mum or dad and go, you know what, what's been happening? Oh, mate, I lost my job like 2 weeks ago and I've got this, electricity bill for $400.
Yeah.
No worries, well, send me that bill, and Ringside, I'll try and fix that up how I can with the Ringside. So.
And you also mentioned before to me that you were saying that you offer free classes as well, thanks to your sponsors and things like that.
Yeah. Well, the Ringside Youth Foundation sponsors, they all come on board, and to the businesses that come on board, they subscribe $100 a month.
Yeah.
When you think of businesses paying $25 a week is absolutely nothing.
It's not much. Yeah.
What they go out there and buy,
yeah, other
than supporting someone, Ringside could do so much with that.
Yeah.
So the idea is to gather some sponsors, pay $100. It's subscribed $100 a month, $25 a week. But even though it's $25 a week to the business, to the Ringside Youth Foundation, and what we can do with young men in the BroFit and the Ringside Youth Foundation is incredible.
It's a lot of money.
So the end dream is to have 100 businesses subscribing, because it's the R100 Club, and I call it the R100 Corporate Members Club.
Yep.
So the businesses get to have that feel-good personal touch with Ringside as well.
Yeah.
So every 3 months, I get all the businesses together and do a presentation and show them what I've been doing with their money.
Such a good idea.
Over the last 3 months.
That's brilliant.
So that's where they get involved, because then little Johnny, who's grown up with Rich in BroFit and Ringside Youth for the last 2 years, now he's turning 18, wants to go and do bar work.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Stewie from the Great Northern,
mate,
go out there, he'll do some...
Give him your resume, go and pour some beers.
Even go and work for a month for free.
Yeah.
Because that's how I started off.
True.
You want work experience?
Earn your stripes.
Go out there and give him one month free.
See how he goes.
Stewie, can you give little Johnny a chance?
Yeah.
Give him 1 month work experience.
Yeah.
So Timmy Osborne, I've got a young fella who wants to do lawyer work. Can he come in the office for a week and do work experience? It's about again fixing them up, trying to fix them up or help them.
And give them the opportunities on what they can do next.
To go out and then see what their actual.
And it's not a free ride, because they got to go earn their stripes.
They got to. The
world's not easy.
They got to go and work for free.
Yeah, exactly.
And even if they come in here, can I come and help? Bring a vacuum, and you come and clean. I want all the windows wiped. I want the,
True.
Come and do that.
Discipline,
really. It's the old Mr. Miyagi.
Well, that's what I mean.
Wash on, wipe off.
Yeah.
You've got to just instill that into these young ones, because they think society these days with social media, they just come in and go, I want to be a fighter. I need you to give me all this.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't really deal with, after dealing with some of the biggest athletes in the world.
Yeah.
I don't want to really have fighters that come in for 2 days a week and tell me how they want me to train.
World champ. Yeah.
When fighters come to me, I go, okay, just make sure Monday to Friday, when the alarm goes off at 4 o'clock and you're on the road running, 4 to 6 Ks. When you finish that, please text me your run times. I want to see what you're running
every morning.
Then in the afternoon you come in, and then we work together.
As
soon as they miss a day and there's no excuse.
See ya.
Don't worry.
And that's what I was going to say to you, because we've spoken a bit about the kids who want to do well, but what about the ones that maybe not resent you but don't want to work with you, or the ones that are hard to work with? How do you go managing the harder ones to deal with?
They're a challenge all to themselves.
Yeah.
And it's basically just, you've just got to be patient.
Yeah.
You've got to be patient, because again, it's not how they're acting right now that's making the difference. It's what they're dealing with. And young men, again, whether they're coming from home, something's happening at home or at school, bullying and online stuff these days is pretty crazy. But you've got to be patient to find out and dig down deep enough to find out what is the real problem.
Now let's move on because we're chewing up time because we could talk for probably hours about this because I'm super interested in all the mental health and the men's space because I think it's so important. I really love what you're doing. Let's talk quickly about BroFit. Opening yesterday, obviously nailed the opening. 150 members, had everything happening here. People were doing everything. What is your goal with BroFit over the next couple of years?
Exactly the same with how it was for me as a younger person, but BroFit's more for the older guys.
Yeah.
So now the older guys having a safe space, and this is what BroFit is, just a safe space where guys can come in, get together with each other, have a session, but start a brotherhood. So then that brotherhood can start building as a community, and not only then you build a community of older guys who are very wise and maybe running successful businesses, but you're helping their mental health as well. And what that does is when the guys are in here, the husbands or the fathers or whatever come in here and train, they start bettering their life with life choices. Next minute, the ripple effect is they go home and be better husbands, better fathers.
Yeah.
They start to hear what the story is around here going, oh, wow, that's how I talk to my son, or that's how I talk to my wife. And all the boys, mate, that's not right. You shouldn't be talking like that. Yeah. And then they're confronting, but they're honest. Yeah. And they give their honest opinion. So that's the community I want to build through fitness, but through the older guys being better themselves.
And it's that ripple effect, isn't it? When you surround yourself with like-minded people, you're going to have that effect on the wider scheme. For example, like you said, help being a better husband, being a better dad, being a better mate.
Give the family more time. Now you understand by what you've been doing or saying has been putting you into that position where your mind's not healthy.
And here's a question for you too. Why do you think boxing is such a good tool, not only with the kids but also with grown men? Why do you think boxing is such a good tool to help with that? Like, why is boxing a great sport for that?
Everyone loves fighting.
Yeah.
Everyone says, oh, that's a mug sport, that's a thug sport. The ones who usually say that haven't had too much adversity through life.
Yeah.
The ones who come through the fight game, boxing or martial arts, karate, they've all have a bit of a story and why they took up fighting. Yeah. Bullying, abuse, whatever it may be. But boxing, for some reason, the fitness side of things, the discipline side of things.
Discipline's big.
Everything from the footwork.
Yep.
Knowing the footwork. It's like dancing. You've got to dance to do the boxing.
Yep.
But not only that, the males who decide, I want to get in there and have a bit of a feel how good I am.
Bit of an ego, bit of an alpha.
When they think they got the ego and they think they can actually, I'm not too bad on the pads. Yeah, but you get enough.
Let's put you in with him.
Let's go against, have a bit of a fun spar or a body sparring with another man. Then you're like, it's just us two.
Shit.
Then you know what true fear is. Then
you
go,
yeah.
Well, can I face my true fear? This is the true fear. So, and when you accomplish that true fear, and that's why when we have next year like the corporate fight nights, all the old guys that are in here want to tick that off there. They'll do. They want to have a fight. They'll have a 10-week challenge, like fight camp with me, and it's all about the journey in that. Yeah. And that's what it is. Boxing is a journey. So all with the mindset, the mind games. You're like, oh my God, am I that good? Oh my God, that body sparring was hard the other day. Yeah. Can I go back? Yeah. Oh, that was a bit out there, but and it's taking them out of their comfort zone. And
the other thing too, you'd see this all the time, is people hitting bags thinking they're Muhammad Ali, and then they get in the ring. It's just a whole different ball game.
I always love the ones who come in the gym go, hey Rich, I'm just here, I want to do some boxing. I've got a black belt in boxing. I do the old, no worries,
do
mate.
Ya? All good.
5 p.m. when we start. Some of the stories I get, and we used to have some of the guys come in from other gyms or whatever, and I haven't been here before. I want to do some sparring. You got anyone sparring? Yeah. Mate, we don't
Doesn't
really
work
allow
that
sparring.
way.
No, I want to spar.
Yeah.
Billy, get over here.
Yeah.
He wants to jump in spar.
So will you let him go?
If they keep persisting, with their egos, and they come into my space and disrespect how I teach, I don't have people sparring straight away. It takes 3 to 6 months for me to allow you to get in there and just even body sparring, hurting to the body or whatever, or just getting that fitness. But when you come in here disrespecting my space and going, I want to spar. Who's your best? Who you got? Man, he's either got mental problems, so he probably needs bro
He's
fit,
confused, yeah.
or I call upon one of my amateurs.
Really lost. Yep.
Come and give him some sparring.
A few rounds.
Do some rounds with him.
Yeah.
One round, they're usually on the floor. And brother, that's why you don't come in here disrespecting.
Yeah.
You come in here and join the crew, join the community.
Yeah, and you're probably teaching them something there on the spot. Do you get like some sort of satisfaction out of being like, mate, you've come in here, you've said all this. This is the reality. You know.
Well, it's a reality check for them. That's what you teach them. It's all about reality, and they find out pretty fast, especially in the sport of boxing, because that's boxing you don't play. And your boxing stuff down in Melbourne with your gym there, you got your fitness centre. How involved are you still with your stuff down there? I do all the backside of things, if like payment wise or whatever else. But Rob's down there. He's running everything full time. The boxing, and he has the promotions. Detonation Promotions. Which we've got back up here in November. So he deals with all that. I've just
where's that going to be? Where's that?
At the next centre.
Yeah, great.
In West Group there.
What's the card like for that? Looks pretty good.
Yeah, Jess Messina, who's an Australian champion, and then we've got one from Box Camp, one of the young lads from over there, who's very up and coming, great talent. So it's a pro-am. So there's professional bouts plus amateur bouts. Yep. So November 2.
November 2.
It'll be
next
the first one back in Newcastle.
It's going to be good to have something like that here in Newey. You'll be excited for that.
Well, we do all our promotions with Next Group, the West Group, because the Phil Gardners and Maggie and all that who really support us, because we do things right in the promotions. And they more than happy to have us back. So we love sort of hosting. And
Newey loves boxing too. Like, let's be honest, Newey's the town of Newey, mate. They love a bit of boxing, footy, beers, boxing. It's the perfect spot to have an event. So
they love their fight game in Newey.
Now, I just want to ask about your process being a coach. You've touched on a little bit about your philosophy, I guess, and how you approach coaching. So I am quite fascinated with how you go about your coaching. Can you tell me a little bit about, firstly, your coaching style for your different levels, from beginners to, say, moderate to more high-level athletes? What's your sort of setup there?
For mine, it's pretty basic. One, you've got to dedicate your time. If you give me 99%, I'll give you nothing. But if you give me 100%, then I'll give you 100%.
Yeah, okay.
And then I'll have the footwork is my main priority to start with. You can't do anything without your feet. So some days, my brother and I, when we're doing coaching and we've had kids come in, sometimes we've had like lines where the kids have got to do footwork all the way up that line, and sometimes they've been there doing that for 2 months.
Yeah,
every afternoon.
Same thing.
Every afternoon.
Mr. Miyagi.
That's it. Repetition. Keep going on that line. It's not good enough yet. Once they then you start to see the dedication, because the ones, if they got to stay on that line and do the footwork for a week and don't get to punch anything, oh no, this is not for me, this is boring.
Yeah.
Okay, so then they're the ones who don't really want to learn the fundamentals of where it's all at.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you see early on with people starting off, or even as an elite professional? What are some of the biggest mistakes you see with boxing? Not being open-minded to learn. Yeah, okay.
They've watched so much these days, social media, YouTube.
They know it all.
They think they come in and they know everything. They know everything. But when you work with some of the athletes who have been on the grind for 10 years, they know the procedure that has to be. They know the hard work that goes into it. Where the younger ones now that I deal with, they want to be the celebrities boxing. They want to do the big Mayweather pads on the Instagram for 15 seconds, and everyone who's not familiar with what it is, they're like, wow, what weapons. And as soon as you start talking to people in that manner, that, mate, you're a legend, you're a weapon, you're the best, they already think they've made it.
Yeah, true.
So that's where the mindset, with all the social media and where we are in society, everyone only wants to put 1 or 2 days in to be a champion. And now you've got all promotions doing, it's the something WKBF ZY2 world title.
Yeah. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, who's Johnny fighting for that? Oh, someone over in Mayfield. Where's he from? Oh, he's from the Junction. And you're like, hang on a second. That's a world title?
Yeah.
So everyone's making up there. And that's why
and how do you regulate that? Is it just a bit of a free-for-all?
Everyone just makes their own title. If you've got a promotion, you just put your own title up for it. Oh, it's the so-and-so title, and everyone's like, oh, wow, he's fighting for a title. So it's all about having the photo with your belt.
Yeah, okay.
You know, all the hard work doesn't want to be done in the background to a good majority of people.
What do you think, how important is the mental aspect to boxing? Because I know you've got a lot of mates, elite level athletes. I've got a few mates who have done quite well, and I think, in my opinion, the most important part to being successful within sport is by far the mental aspect.
Everything.
How does that affect boxing, do you think?
Everything. And not only have you got to have the mental capacity to put your body and your mind through some torture with training, you've got to learn, especially in this world today, you've got to learn how to have yourself as a business. Because when you get on social media and you want people to buy your shirts, or you want to start a business and people to know your business, not only are you in the sport of boxing, and you've got to keep your mind on track and be focused on everything from the footwork, the technique to...
You're also a business yourself.
Your body is a business. That's how, even back in the day when I used to do the kickboxing or whatever, I used to think of myself as the business.
Yeah.
I'd kick in, when you get out of the ring, how do you talk to your fans? How do you talk to this? How do you talk to that? How are you coming across to people?
How do you coach that?
Well, sometimes it's easy to give advice when you see someone going, they're going off their heads, or they don't have social media, but they want to be known. You know, these days you just got, as much as it is social media, you've got to be in people's face all the time, but you've got to, and people work out to be very genuine when they see you doing all the hard work, instead of just seeing you doing the Mayweather pads and then going, or having a sparring session, world-class sparring. Like, these guys wouldn't know what world-class sparring is. We've taken fighters from Newcastle to Freddie Roach's gym in LA and come back and they've retired 4 days later because they know that level's not their level.
Yeah, wow.
You know, and that's the reality of it all. But that's business-wise, you got to be on the sport and focus on sport, plus you got to have the business mind to be successful.
Do you think nowadays... Do you think you can make it if you're not balancing that? Like, do you think the business side of things now is so important that if you do want to get to that next level, that has to be a big part of your mindset?
It is. But in saying that, if you're using your mindset properly, where you're getting good people around you who are good in their fields, then the success comes there. Because if you've got social media people who are good at that, you've got a manager who's good at that, accountant who's good at that, a lawyer who's good at that, and you can just focus on what you're good at. That's the whole thing where I try, and especially when the youth come in here and they want to progress to be someone great at fighting game, then this is all the things I've got to put in place. And the number one is school. How's your school marks going?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really attend anymore. Well, you need to start attending.
Yeah.
Even though they may not be life lessons in some of them, but you'll have some of the things that you'll need to know, going forward. But a lot of the teaching in Ringside Youth Foundation, I have life lessons.
And do you think that's like the old school mentality with mentoring? Because you would have seen back in the day, there was no social media, so people weren't worried about building up their personal profile, getting followers, getting people to buy their merch or whatever. It was nothing like that.
But that's because they wanted to fight the best. The only way to get noticed is fight the best.
You got to be good, yeah.
You got to be the best athlete you can be.
Yeah.
Where these days, because no one wants to go to that extreme, because it's all good to look, on the socials, being buzzy, no one has to do with the hard work anymore.
Yeah, true.
As soon as you see someone throwing 50 punches at once, you're like, wow, what a weapon.
What's your philosophy with like boxing? Let's get to the nitty-gritties quickly. Like, is it power? Is it technique? Is it timing? Is it a combination? What's your theory on being a sharp boxer?
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything. As I said, it starts with your technique.
Yeah.
Before your technique, it starts with the dedication.
Yeah.
The dedication is everything. If you're not putting any time into it, it's like doing anything in life. If you're not putting the time in, you will never succeed to do anything great. You might accomplish a couple of little things, but then when you get to that stage, you're going, I'm going over to the world stage, then reality sets in. But it starts off with putting in the dedicated time, then learning the art of it.
Yeah.
Learning the art of it then teaches your mind what's really going to go on with that. And then all the power and everything else is just an add-on thing. Like, it's a necessity that can be great as a talent, but everything starts so much back from even throwing a punch.
What have you, this is a good question, what have you learned about yourself as a coach?
I think I've learnt that being open-minded and appreciating other people's coaching has benefited me.
Yeah, it would be very easy to think I'm the best. I know it all. I don't need your tips.
But I could go under the fakeness of going, mate, I've hung out with Ali and Tyson and Jackson Winklejohn and Freddie Roach. I know everything, mate. I've been everywhere.
Yeah.
But my mindset is I go, even my brother, he teaches certain things in boxing. I go, wow, that's good. He sees things that I didn't see.
Yeah.
And he done time under Jeff Fennick for 10 years. So Jeff's one of the best coaches going around in boxing. He sees things that people don't see.
Yeah.
Which is then my brother's been taught that, which then I learn off that.
So you sit back and go, oh, shit,
So
I didn't notice that.
As much as we've hung out with all different characters all over the world, I will still take advice and just see certain things from my brother.
Yeah.
But other coaches, I see what they're doing. I go, I don't know if that worked, but I'm going to try it.
Yeah, just being open-minded, hey?
If it doesn't work for me, then I just chuck it to the side.
Yeah.
I've tried it, didn't work, but then I might do something else and I've gone, that's worked for me.
What about like some of your proudest moments? I know you've mentioned you've worked with some of the absolute greats. You've worked with some of the top-level strikers within sport, whether it's MMA, boxing. What are some of your proudest moments?
I think the proudest moments is being involved in certain camps with certain fighters, you know, like the Mark Hunts, Tai Tuivasa.
What's a camp like with those two boys?
It's good. It's good.
How intense are we talking? Like, is it pretty full on, or because they're pretty loose blokes? Well, I haven't met Mark Hunt, but Bam Bam looks like certainly pretty.
On downtime, the boys can be loose, but when it comes to dedicating their time into their craft. And they know, because they're already professional athletes, they know what level they've got to train to.
True.
So when things have laid out, and when I had Mark Hunt up here and Tai Tuivasa for 10 months before COVID, then they were set out there. This is what we're doing: waking up at 5 a.m. running. Then we're doing pads in the park. Then we're doing training at the gym. Yeah. Like where I have me set things, and I just say, this is how we're going to train. Yeah. And because I've been around, I'm one of, obviously the old guy. They respect me from what I've done, and that's where I get that respect and going, this is what I want you to do, because they're young athletes who take advice as well. Yeah, and they know where the levels they've got to do. But I think the proudest just being involved in camps and just seeing the results, and not really even from my doings, but what they're achieving in their own field. Yeah. And then I get to hang around other coaches, great coaches, and that's our little reward. We get to hang out and go, oh, wow, wasn't that so good how we did that? Remember you trained that with you and that was so good. And that's probably more the proud moments when I have with the other coaches. Yeah, I love that. Rather than as a lot of the coaches who are true and knowledgeable, they go, the wins are for the fighters and the losses are for the coaches. Yeah. So when the losses happen, then we go, okay, what do we need to change? Adjust. What do we need? Yeah, because when everyone's winning, some coaches go out there and wave to the crowd as if they're the athletes. I just go, well, it's all about that person. Yeah. It's all the coaches are for the losses, and the wins are for the fighters or athletes.
You mentioned a few coaches. I had two notes that I jotted down. Greg Jackson and Mike Winklejohn. Were they probably the two of the bigger coaches that you've learned a lot from in the US?
Yeah, massive. Back in the day when I used to be striking coach for Kyle Noak, and we went across there, and I used to go back and forth there for like 6 years, and just some of the knowledge that they have, like Greg Jackson and Winklejohn, you don't hear much of them now because a lot of the athletes have retired and finished up. But back in the time when I walked in that gym, and you had like Travis Browns, Alistair Overeem, St. Pierre, Rashad Evans, Frank Mir, John Jones, Holly Holmes, Michelle Waterson, Diogo Sanchez, Cheeto Avira.
The goats. A couple of goats there.
You walk into that gym, and I was only a fan back then, and I was like, wow. And then you have, the Overeem or, some of the crew come up to you, Diogo Sanchez, and go, oh, coach, can you hold some pads for me? And you're like, wow, this is just crazy. But then you start to get into that whole, after being there 6 years, and then, I was living at Cowboy Cerrone's ranch for about 3 months.
Note that down. Yeah.
About 3 months.
What's he like?
He's a legend.
Is he?
He's just real as they are.
Yep.
He don't sugarcoat nothing. Yep. And it is what it is with him. And that's what I love about him, because out there on the ranch, He's got his own BFM sort of gym.
Yeah, wow.
And he's about 45 minutes out of Albuquerque. But, man, just one of the most genuine dudes, that I've met, and just got a beautiful family.
Cowboy Cerrone, what an icon, mate.
Oh, bro.
In the sport of UFC, like, he's done so much.
Yeah. And he was the one who just fought anyone and just was knocking the ones out.
Yeah, tough as they come.
And he was tough. Like, even holding pads for him, like, some of the kicks, they were solid kicks that I was knocking. And I was like, wow, no wonder this dude's knocking dudes out. His shins are like that hard.
He's tough.
Very tough, but just talented too.
Now, you've mentioned you had some time or had a moment, you got to meet Muhammad Ali, who, that is like, I think, possibly one of the greatest athletes maybe of all time, arguably.
Definitely, inside and outside the ring. The things that you look back on now and you look at what Muhammad Ali stood for and what he was, and what he got torn down for, but what he believed in, and just have that opportunity to fly to Louisville, Kentucky in 2008. But just walk into his place with Lonnie, his wife. Hey guys, from Australia.
What was that like?
Oh man, it was buzzing because I grew up sort of watching the Tyson and a bit of the Ali, and then my old man used to talk about him all the time, like loved him. And just to walk into his house and shake his hand and just like, I didn't really fathom what of an icon he really was, but until you start seeing the pictures around his house.
The accolades.
The Martin Luther, and like the Martin, I'm not sure Martin Luther King. It was, all the black activists.
Yeah.
Some of those Malcolm X's and all. And you're like,
holy.
There's photos of Malcolm X, and then there's presidents with Ali. There's, just some of the photos. I can't even think of them right now, but some of the photos that was in his house. And you look back and you're like, I am with Muhammad Ali now, and he actually stood with Malcolm X. I was just like, it's too much to take in, to be honest.
It's so good. You got your wall up there with all your pictures with some of the great people you've met over your career, and you were saying before, when people come into the gym, it's such a great talking point.
Oh, it is.
People will look over and go, "Holy shit, you've met him."
Yeah.
What the hell was that like?
People like when I first started putting them up on the walls, I was like, I'm not quite sure if I want to put them all up there. People think, look at him, big note himself, but me being me. People's opinion of me, I could not give two hoots about. So whatever you think about me, please don't think it worries me.
No,
it doesn't.
No.
But it gives, when the old guys and the young guys come in and they see the Ali or Tyson or, John Jones or the Mark Hunts and Tai Tuivasas, they look up and go, oh my God, then that sort of is a talking point where they go, man, you've
bit of an icebreaker almost.
Yeah, and that, again, it's like the fitness is the tool. And that part for photos in the gym is more, they're memories to me. They're my memories in what I've achieved and just, not even achieved, but just who I know as human beings in this world who have achieved the most ultimate that they've trained and worked for. And I've got to be friends with them over the years. And now these people come in and ask the questions about them. Now they get to know a bit about me. So now they're more vulnerable to go, well, now I know what you've gone through. I'm going through the same thing. Takes
the pressure off a little bit of having to walk into a gym or a boxing gym and be like, all right, first thing I need to talk about is how to throw a jab, or, 100%. It's like, well, no, you don't. You can come in, have a look around. Let's get to know each other. Let's have a sweat out together and go from there.
BroFit's been built on is the guys that have been around and done a lot throughout the years. Now they've got, BroFit to help these other guys through.
Yeah, such a great idea. Hey, what you've probably answered this, but just to touch base, what separates those really elite athletes, do you think, from those everyday people who maybe have the skill, maybe have the ability? Do you think it is just dedication and mindset?
100% dedication.
Yeah,
100% dedication, because without dedication or motivation, it's very hard to do anything. You can stay in bed, you can not get up at 4 o'clock, but it's the drive of being successful. And having such a competitor like mindset, that's where it comes to the point where you go, you know what, that's the dedication you've got to show. And it's unfortunately it's years of hard work, not days of easy
overnight.
work. No, not days of easy work. So it's years of hard work.
And that's interesting too, because no doubt you would have seen the rise of all this social media boxing, like your Jake Pauls, your Logan Pauls, these big money fights. From my perspective, I look at someone like Jake Paul, for example. He's probably the biggest name in the social media space. He looks like he can box, and he looks like he is committed. But what's your opinion on this uprise of, well, it is exactly what we spoke about. It's all the show stuff, but he actually can't throw them.
100%. And difference with Jake Paul, one, he brings different eyes to the boxing game.
Yeah, true.
All the YouTubers, never known boxing before. Now Jake Paul's fighting. But he pays well for the fighters.
Yep.
The Sorrento sisters, like
She can box, man. That chick is crazy.
And then I think her and Katie Taylor's going at it again.
Yeah,
that was one of the best women fights I've ever seen.
Mate,
in
how
history.
good was that?
Amazing. So those sort of things there. But he's bringing different eyes, but he's paying well. But also, he pays to go to the right coaches and trains hard.
Who's he under? Do you know?
Oh, I think he was under a couple of different ones. I'm not quite sure who he's under now.
Yep.
But he dedicates himself to make sure that he is dedicating
It's not a piss take.
It's not. It's not. People might think that, but he's actually putting the same as Paul Gallen. Paul Gallen, he's just a footballer. Mate, Paul Gallen, he was training hard.
Yeah.
Like even when...
And he's tough,
He's
mate.
tough. That's what got him through the Mark Hunt fight.
Yeah.
Obviously, and Mark Hunt not sort of knocking him out when he should have knocked him out because he was too busy playing around and thinking he was flying.
Yeah.
But yeah, those type of people are dedicated and they don't want to disrespect the sport.
No. So you think that's
hard.
good for the sport?
I think it's great for the sport.
Yeah.
Because it brings more eyes and then more people are interested in, I want to learn how to do this boxing.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you reckon a lot of people say some of his fights were staged, like or set up? Do you think there's even a possibility that was the case?
I don't believe so. Because some of even Tyrone Woodley, when he knocked him out, like Tyrone Woodley, yes, he's an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
And the difference is, and Jake Paul and the team are very smart.
Yeah.
The MMA fighters, when they come across the boxing, totally different.
Yeah.
Footwork.
Yeah.
Boxing skills.
Yeah.
MMA's different boxing skills.
Yeah.
So when you're trained nothing but boxing and these guys come over from the MMA,
it's a big change.
A big change. So he's very smart and the team's very smart how they set that up.
Yeah.
But man, he's doing the job.
Yeah.
Even when he gets beat. Tommy Fury beat him.
True.
You know, take it on the chin.
Took a loss.
That's how.
Keep going.
I'm in this game not for a short time. I want to be the best, and obviously, how he gets the views. I want Canelo next.
Yeah.
Canelo just giggles because Canelo knows he's probably going to make 100 million plus.
Exactly.
So it's all.
But I like what you meant with it is bringing a whole new set of eyes to the sport, and it's. I think over the last couple of years, it has grown, as you would agree, so much.
100%.
Probably from a lot of the stuff he's been doing, but just the social media as well now.
Oh man, it's blowing up, and even talking to Ty the other day, and he was like, "Oh man, I went and had a meeting with Meta."
Yeah, wow.
And he was like, "They're getting on board with me," and he goes, just the mind boggle, just what they know.
You've just got to be on board with it, don't you?
What they know in data, he goes, it's frightening.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So,
and you would have seen the Sphere the other day, the UFC event. What did you think of that? That's probably the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I've had a few friends that gone to U2 concerts over there.
Yep.
And they said just unbelievable.
How have they been able to do that?
I don't know.
It was a Mexican.
Lots of money.
Oh my God, Dana White. What are your thoughts on Dana White?
He's a very shrewd and very good businessman.
Yeah.
I think his ways how he does business doesn't benefit the fighters.
Yeah.
Regarding pay wise, and that's been an issue obviously
for a long time.
With a long time. But when there's no unions or there's no one stepping forward to go, you know what, we need to change things.
Yeah.
Why would you change? When you're making
if it's not broken, don't fix it.
They're making the company billions of dollars.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, it takes the army to then step up. But I've met him a couple of times, and he's a very good businessman. He was always polite to me.
Yeah.
But I've never had any business dealing with him. Thank God.
Yeah.
But
he's a big dog.
He's what it is.
Hey, before we wrap it up, I want to ask you, what legacy do you want to leave behind for yourself? Like when it's all said and done, looking back, what legacy do you want to leave behind?
I think just with my two children, to be honest. I mean,
yeah, wow.
I love my kids. My kids are my world, and a message even my daughter sent me yesterday in regards to the opening, and obviously when I start talking about the kids, I get a bit emotional.
Yeah, of course.
But my daughter will be my biggest supporter with my son.
Yeah.
Because we've had that time where I've raised them myself for quite some years. So the three tripods, that's where I've brought them up. But my legacy is not really in what other people's eyes. It's how my children see me in
as
the
a
end.
dad.
And when they say, oh, you know, if it wasn't for you, Dad, you know, you've been the best dad. And even yesterday, my daughter texted me last night and just said, you know, what a great turnout, Dad. I love what you're doing, how you support people.
Yeah,
and like
that means a lot.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It sort of it hits a bit of bits of my heart.
Yeah.
But
and making them proud, like those sort of messages, obviously, so nice to hear.
Some of the messages, just how my daughter sends my message. My boy's a bit laid back. He goes, "Hey, Dad, I love you.
Love you, bud. Yeah, love you,
bud."
bud.
My daughter will go into like real detail of how I make her feel and how I make her proud and all that sort of stuff. So at the end of the day, when my time's done on this earth, it's not really the care of what you or someone else thought of Rich Fogarty.
Yeah.
A lot of people will probably go, mate, he was a champion. He was a good dude, always helped anyone. And some people go, mate, he's a fake. He's always on, social media. He's blowing his own.
Whatever.
Those opinions, people's opinions of me, I don't really care about. I've never cared about them. So that's probably why I've lasted so long.
And you're still going. Hey, the social media is just getting started for you anyway, mate. You're getting better and better each week.
I'm trying to get savvy with it, but
you got to be doing it though.
I know. You got to be in people's faces because
you have to be doing it. Have to be doing it, and you are doing it, which is awesome.
But it's I think it's what my children see that I do and what I represent as a role model, because I've always believed that as a father, you've got to be your children's superhero.
Yep.
And that's where it's a bit dysfunctional these days, where the dads and mums, sometimes when it's a disengaged family, the dad sort of isn't there to be the superhero for their son. So their son's wandering out there and letting other people be their superhero, which then, the gangs, the drugs, the alcohol, that all sorts starts.
Yeah.
So my legacy is just with Jet and Dakota and just making sure when I'm remembered, they just, they're so proud of what I've achieved, and that's all I really care about.
Yeah, very special. Yeah, no. And what about your plans for the end of this year, next year? Anything coming up for you? What's the handicap doing with golf? Are we getting that down?
I'm back to 6-3, which I'm very distraught about, because I was playing 3 or 4 days a week in Melbourne. I was down to 4 handicap.
Oh, right.
So
that's
now I'm playing with like Julian Wilson and Gags on a Friday, and Ryan Smith from Charlestown. So that's our little boys group when we play, and man, they're on 11 and 10s.
Yeah.
Even though I'm on 6.3, but they still beat me. So I'm like, man, because I'm competitive, so I've got to start doing more golf. But again, with these sort of things, you've got to have a balance in life. I've got to have time for my partner and my kids. And then I've got to put some dedicated time for the bro fit for the older fellas, but really passionate with the ringside. But I've got the bro fit corporate night in 2025 coming up.
Yeah, that'll be great.
That'll be good, so all the old guys can tick it off their bucket list and have an experience that they've never had before. And the Ringside Youth Foundation, again, just doing some great stuff in the community at schools and with a lot of businesses. But I'm going to have Ringside Youth Foundation charity golf days in March next year, and sportsman's lunches. I'm going to call upon all my friends to come and have a chat.
No doubt. And you've got a long list of mates, Rich, so you're going to have no issues getting a few people there.
I'm very blessed to surround myself with just genuine, beautiful humans.
The networking king, the man. That'll wrap up today's episode, guys. I think a very good opportunity if you're someone out there who, as a man, older man, younger man, or have a family friend, there's a few really great facilities that are around now. BroFit's a great example of somewhere that you can go collaborate with other like-minded people and even just go and have a sweat and talk to people, and it doesn't need to be anything more than that. And I think your youth foundation is another example for if you're someone out there who has any kids or family friends kids, just go and inquire. All the links are going to be in the description, so feel free to get involved in that if you're in the Newcastle area or even in the wider suburbs. I think it's just such a great initiative, particularly for young men, and I'm very passionate about that, and I really want men to be able to talk more and have these conversations. So I love what you're doing there, Rich, and thanks so much for coming on today, mate.
Appreciate it. It's been fun.
No doubt I'll see you on the golf course in the very near future. You'll get a message very soon because we're going to have a whack. So,
100%.
But yeah, thanks very much for viewing today, guys. As per, be out this Wednesday, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.